Hey everybody, it's Deb with Deb's RV Services, and this is an episode of Deb's Corner. Today I want to talk to you about boondocking. I have had quite the experience lately with boondocking in my RV, and I thought, you know what? I keep talking about how great boondocking is, but I need to talk about the other side of it too. So let me share some of these experiences that I've had. Also, I want to let you know that I am going to have that Lazy Days video this Sunday. I had quite the experience going out there and coming back, and I want to share all that with you. So I will have that video on Sunday. Today, it's going to be about boondocking. So recently, I've stayed in a couple different places, and I had one spot that was pretty decent to stay in and another spot that was not so decent. So boondocking is a tricky little thing. You go onto these apps and you find out where the good boondocking is. And one of the things I do is I have a couple apps that I go to. One of them is Campendium. The other is iOverlander. I think iOverlander is requiring a fee now. They want me to upgrade, and when I went to upgrade to the newer version, it said that they're requiring a membership. So as of right now, I've stayed on the old version and I'm just looking up places that way. I don't think it's a bad thing that they're asking for a fee because I use that app all the time. So I may end up upgrading. I really like the comments, the feedback that you get, because that's how you can find out if you are going to be able to get into a spot or not. People from all over, they drive different types of RVs, and one spot might be really good for a van, but not for Class C. Or one of the spots might have really difficult terrain getting back to, and you kind of want to know these things up front. For me, because I tow a car, I can't easily back up. I mean, I can't back up with a car. I would have to take my tow off and then I'd have to back up. That's how it is when you tow a car with a motorhome. So once I enter a place, I have to know that I can turn around, or I have to just detach my car and turn myself around and then reattach my car, which is a complete pain. I've had to do it several times. That is part of the bad. It's not a part of the good. So anyway, I found a spot it was around the Sedona area, and one of the things I do is I ask friends too. And I have some friends that I know boondock a lot, but they don't drive a Class C motorhome. They drive smaller vehicles where they can fit into spots easier. So they would let me know, yeah, there are plenty of spots available for somebody in a motorhome like you. One of the other spots I went to, great spot, but a little bit of tough terrain getting in. So I was prepared for that and I could make it. And that was a great boondocking spot. I really enjoyed it. But that was up in Flagstaff, and Flagstaff was about to get snow. So I had to bolt down about another 1,000 feet so that I wasn't stuck up in that elevation. So I found another spot through my friend, and then I also saw it on the Campendium app. So I went down to that spot, and it's basically a road, and the road is 525. I don't know if any of you have been to this area in Sedona, but what they did is they separated some of these boondocking spots into small camps. So you drive in, and one area will say, this is good, you can park here, but you can't overnight camp. And there's a camping sign with a X across it, you can't camp there. Then you finally run across the first open area where you're allowed to camp. And when I was driving down that road, that spot was full. It wasn't full, but I thought I could probably do better than that. The spot, it wasn't a huge spot, so I thought, well, I'm going to keep going and see if I can find a better spot. So the next spot wasn't until, it seemed like it was forever, but it was really about a couple miles down the road, but it's a dirt road, so you're only going like 10 to 15 miles per hour. I go through the second spot, and that spot was full. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go to one more, and if this one's not clear, I'm turning around because I'm going too deep into this area, and I know that I have to drive back out in the morning because I have an inspection. I like to be close to accessing roads so that I can get into work. So I don't mind being far back, but when you get too far back and you know it's going to be 20 minutes just to get out of the area you're in, it's kind of too much for me. So I got to the third area, and it was a much better spot. There were only a couple campers in there. It had a nice big open space, and one of the campers left. So I had this perfect spot where I was like between a couple bushes, and then my friend that could camp with me, she could come into that other spot, and it was going to be a really cozy, great spot. So got all set up there, was all happy. And then the first thing I realized was that red dirt. Sedona is full of red rock and red dirt. Now, if you haven't camped in red dirt, it really is an experience because you get it all over your feet. Then you track it into your motorhome or your travel trailer, whatever you have, and you have to make sure that you have something. You either have mats or blankets or something to take your shoes off and put all over your bedding, all over your couches, everything that you have, because it gets everywhere. And my little dog, even though she's tiny, she was tracking in this red dirt and she ended up getting it all over my pillowcase. I tried to wipe her feet and it didn't matter. She jumped right up on that bed and then she started digging out a little spot for her body to lay in, and she got it all over the place. I was like, oh my God. So I put blankets everywhere I could, and I tried to deter getting the red dirt everywhere, but then the rain came. So then it was not red dirt, it was red mud. And it was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I didn't like that. I didn't like having to monitor the mud and the dirt constantly. It got really cold, and my friend wasn't feeling well, so I was also taking her dog out and trying to then wipe her feet, and it was really difficult. I didn't realize what a pain in the A it would be trying to do that. Well, then the other thing on top of it, so that's just, okay, so we have I had the good spot, then that's a bad spot, but now what made it ugly? This is what made it an ugly spot. It wasn't just the red dirt, it wasn't the red mud, it was the crowds of people that ended up coming in there. So it ended up being a weekend. So I got there, I think it was on a Friday, but then Saturday, a bunch of people rolled in and we were packed like sardines. And not only that, people stayed up later and they sat outside talking, and they were right outside of my camper. Now that irritates me more than anything. And it's because I really, really care about my sleep quality. I go to bed early and I wake up early. I'm up sometimes at like 4:30, 5 in the morning. And I know that sounds crazy to some people. I sleep best when I go to bed between 8 and 9 o'clock, and I get up between 4:30 and 5:30. That's just what my body likes. So I die at night. I'm no good at night. I like to get in my comfy bed and I like to wind down, and then I shut everything off and I go to sleep. Well, I love one of the reasons I love boondocking is because I want to have my window open and have the fresh air blowing in, and I really enjoy the cool breezes. But it's not so nice when you have somebody talking right outside of your home. And they were laughing, they were having a good time, but I wasn't, because it kept waking me up. So that is something that I consider like a bad experience with boondocking. It doesn't always happen. It has rarely happened to me. I have boondocked a lot and I have had good experiences, but sometimes you just don't. When these spots get crowded, there's a lot of people that want to come out, and especially on weekends, you're going to find more of these crowds on weekends. If I were to pick, I'd make travel days on weekends and I'd boondock during the week. If you have to think about stuff like that, because a lot of people only have their weekends that they're out doing these things. They're out camping. And if the camping is limited and you're in a spot where it's limited, then you're going to experience more people at your site. So I try to always be courteous of other people. When I see that they are parked there, I try to park as far away from them as I can. That's something that, as a person, if you're new to this, you want to always be respectful of others. Most people are out there because they want to be a little more isolated. Maybe they just need to be away from environment. Maybe they're just introverts. They want that peace and quiet. They need it. And there's all kinds of reasons. So I try to always be courteous of other people, and I always hope that people are also courteous to me. In this case, I think what probably happened is they couldn't find another spot, and they were tired of driving down the dirt road and just pulled in and parked. So it's one of the bad experiences you can have. One thing I do is I take my places that I find, I drop a pin, I put them in my Google Places. So I open up my maps, I drop a pin, save it in Google Places, and then I write a note about it. I will put Sedona, and then I would put red dirt as a reminder, and crowded. That way I remember and can recall that experience that I had. That's all I need to say to myself, and I will remember that experience. And I will avoid that in the future. Now, I might try it again if it was during the week. It was a weekend, and that's kind of what you get on a weekend sometimes, just like if you stay in other parks. But there are some boondocking spots that are better than others, and you can find them and you can make notes. So I wanted to give you that experience because that is something that I have gone through, and I have had lots of great experiences, but I want to be honest with you. I want to give you the truth about all of this. It's not always easy. The other thing that happened while I was there is my friend got a flat. So this is something that you need to think about as well. When you go way far back in these roads, you need to make sure that you have the proper things with you to help yourself if you get stuck in a situation. Now, to call somebody to come out and rescue you, you can do that, but you're going to pay a lot of money. I carry a tire pressure. It was an inflatable. It inflates bike tires, but it also can inflate car tires. So I had that with me. Her tire had a screw in it, but it was a slow leak. So when I pumped up the tire back to pressure, she was able to get out of that spot safely. And then we made it to the next destination, which happened to be an RV park. And then she could get the tire fixed. And that's what she did. And so that is, thank God that happened, because she would have probably called her insurance and had somebody come and rescue her. But it was a Sunday when we found out, and there was nothing open, like nothing. So there wasn't a place to take it at that time. So I just said, okay, let's see if we can inflate it. Let's see if it'll hold, and let's see if we can get out of here. And that's what we did. So I'm so happy it worked out that way. But always carry things with you. Like make sure your insurance has that protection on there. And also carry something that can inflate your tire, and you can hook it to a 12-volt source. So mine is a 12-volt tire inflator, and I can just use that if I have any problems with any of my tires. And that way I'm not stuck in a situation. You can also carry Fix the Flat, and that can help you when you're in these situations. But make sure that you have things with you so that you can help yourself if you get stuck in a sticky situation and you have cell signal and all that. Think about all those things whenever you're going to a boondocking spot. I have Starlink. I pretty much always have access to internet, so I wouldn't be in a situation like that. I have a tire pressure. I have a tire inflator, and I have access to a lot of tools because of what I do as a profession. So I also travel with somebody. So you always want to make sure you're safe and you're protected, and you have easy access to get to somewhere if you need help. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I am excited to tell you all about my lazy days. I'll get that video going, and you'll see that on Sunday. Please like and subscribe, comment below, and I will see you guys on the next video.